Hello, is it me you're looking for? I don't
I
know
can see
why
it
we
in your eyes.
oh, really?
I can
I don't
see
know why,
it
but
in
just
your soul.
when we were you know more of that song than I thought. When we were setting up this video, it just suddenly like it was like one of us said hello, and it's just like I know we were like we should do that at the beginning of the video.
We'll
I know,
just do that at the beginning. Welcome back to part two, anyway.
welcome back to Ears to the East. That's right, that's what we're
Listen,
doing.
yeah, welcome back to this shit.
Oh, this thing still exists. What the fuck? Do we still do this
Yeah, I
shit?
know. Every week. No, so, well, how many videos are we on now? Like,
Yeah,
we
well,
must be
I mean,
starting up.
look, the three of us come in here every week. Oh, wait a second.
There's one slacker among us. Can you tell which one it is?
You hear all this stuff about German efficiency, and then the motherfucker doesn't turn
Oh.
up. So 795 subs. Thank you, Zach. We had a couple of extra subs. I know it's not big numbers compared to most people, but I think our subs are amongst the best subs because people come into our channel and yeah, it's really we're basically just a waffle channel and we talk very lightly about stuff, and I love that people join that with us. Oh my god, there's so many while we're recording this, there's so many things that I have to cover coming out at the same time. Anyway, so we got 164 videos on this channel. 164.
We'll hit 200 before we know it.
Will we hit 1,000 subscribers before we hit 200 videos? That's our prediction. I'm gonna say I think we might. We think we might.
I hope so. Remember, like continuing from part one, guys. Don't forget to share these videos and all that as well. We really appreciate it. It's the community that builds us up and possibly tears us down as well. But we're gonna remain positive and just and hope that you help us. Like I said, if you're in any discords, no matter what it is, if they like the bands we talk about, then please share our videos. Give us a bit of a good reputation. Word of mouth is really important, and it will help us get to 1,000 subscribers in no time. Of that, I have absolutely no doubt.
So should we talk about music?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about music. I mean, we covered pretty much the year of the collab and a few things happening and stuff like that. What I would say is, well, it seems to be the year of people switching bands and doing their own things quite a bit as
So
well.
we talked about it a little bit at the end of the last video, didn't we? About like Koi Eye having the switch over, Nemophila losing a member. Was there any losing a member, parting ways with a member, I think is fair to say. And I'm not just sort of softening the word, I just genuinely feel like it wasn't so much of a loss, it's just a change in direction. So any other changes you can think of? I'm sure there's going to be some.
I quite liked what Unlucky Morpheus did this year with Unholy Orpheus.
Was that this year? That was
this year.
Been doing for a while. Was that
only
this year though?
Yeah, that was fairly.
Okay.
Well, as they did that when I believe Fuki announced that she was doing some stuff with BOXX, I believe.
Wow. Yeah. That's right, because BOXX that kicked in this year. I haven't actually seen those live videos yet, but they've done a couple of shows, haven't they? The reunited.
Yeah, I believe they had. I mean, I'm kind of like holding off on BOXX until I see like something a little bit more concrete. I know the live shows and all that probably up, but I wanna try and jump into that when they got a bit of content because it's been a.
Would you? I mean, you know old BOXX though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was about to say, you're making it sound like it's a completely new thing. You mean like you want to hear like?
I want to hear the new stuff they bring out before I jump back into them a little bit more because but that's typical Fuki, isn't it? She never stays in one place for too long. She's freaking everywhere.
She's avoiding your gaze.
But I really like the concept of Unlucky Morpheus. I was kind of torn about it at the beginning, like obviously with Fuki not being in there and doing her own thing. I was kind of like, for me, that any other band would go into hiatus at that point and maybe they would do their own things. But I really like the way that they brought I forget the guitarist's name. I do apologize. But I love.
Don't look at me.
Yeah. But I love that how he stepped up his harsh vocals. Obviously, stark different contrast to Fuki, and they obviously changed the band name to Unholy Orpheus to reflect that different sort of vocal approach and different sound.
Unholy Orifice.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna get to see.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Who does not hear that name and think to themselves, "It does sound like Orifice"? Who's not thinking that?
I think that says more about you than anybody else, man.
Perhaps does. Hey, orifice is a word that can have many meanings. Who would specify a singular one? I mean, yeah, many types of orifices. Like, I put this coffee in my orifice right now.
Fucking hell, I'm sharing a room with this guy for a month next year. Fucking Lord help me. Stay away from my
one eye open. Sleep with one eye open.
You got one eye.
Just don't sleep then.
Don't sleep.
Yeah, so like, yeah, that's true. I mean, the unholy orifice. I'm just saying it. The unholy orifice thing. That wasn't so much like my kind of thing, but I gotta be honest, because the harsh vocals didn't really appeal to me so much. Yeah. But I felt it was pretty well managed. I mean, it's like one of those things where I listened to it and I thought, oh, okay, it's pretty decent. Yeah, I got a good laugh out of like hearing just how they like just lent into the heavy, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, this is actually pretty decent. Yeah. I'm always going to prefer it with Fuki in there. I'm always going to prefer the original lineup, but it was a good way of covering the tie.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I know a lot of people are different, definitely 50-50. I mean, it makes me wonder how many people actually enjoy Unlucky Morpheus for Unlucky Morpheus and not enjoy Unlucky Morpheus just for Fuki. Yes, you know who you are. And you know you're watching this video.
Yeah, you. So you use Jill as your crutch to get out of that. It's like, well, no, I like Jill as well.
I like Jill as well. Yeah.
I mean, I would say though that there is something about the balance of Unlucky Morpheus. It's like anything. It's like, I mean, Sam. I mean, you look at Baby Metal. I mean, Baby Metal was still Baby Metal, but when they lost Yui, who didn't have that much vocal presence in most of the songs, she was a backing singer. It was amazing how it changed the sound of a song, because sometimes there's that perfect balance. So the funny thing is that taking Fuki out, it's it does make it a very different band, because although you've got the same elements, there isn't the same balance. You know, it's like that balance between her big operatic vocals is what made the other stuff so
I think
and her interesting.
Yeah, I think looking at that, it was a bit weird, because my initial thought coming into this was I miss Fuki. And then the more I listened to it, the more I was like, you know what, I really like this. But I think for a lot of people, I think instantly them saying, well, Fuki's not in it, it was instantly like, well, no, I'm not interested. Which I was a bit like,
that's too close-minded. Yeah,
that's too close-minded for me. And I must admit, I was a bit like, oh, I miss Fuki. But the more I listened to Unholy Orpheus, the more I was like, yeah, you know,
you're checking yourself when you
I was like, I almost said it then as well. I was like, holy shit, I was like giggling in my mind.
Just wait until we have Unlucky Orifice.
Unlucky Orifice. You are fucking. We're just gonna call them that from now on. Fuck it. But yeah, I really enjoyed that sound. I really enjoyed what they did. It was like going into like an alternative reality a little bit. And I kind of, the more I listen to it, the more I really appreciate it. It's like, you know, it's like taking like, again, like, I don't know, like BAND-MAID or something like that. And if Psyche goes on and does something, and having Miku step up completely, you know, and do it, and doing an album, you know, calling themselves Band Miku or something stupid like that. Yeah.
When you hear like Rockin' Me or Time or a Miku led song, it's like it's still BAND-MAID, but there is part in the back of your head where you're like, I like it as BAND-MAID because I know that Psyche will be back on the next track. So there's nothing wrong with Miku. It's just the fact that, you know, it's like this is good because it's contrast from the normal BAND-MAID. So, and contrast is a good thing. So yeah,
I just love the premise, because it's so out there. It's like, it's not done very often, like if at all, that a band would continue and do like a solo project without, when their singer goes off and does something else.
Well, actually, I'm going to give the direct contrast to that, because the funny thing is that, I mean, look, I really enjoy Unlucky Morpheus, but I would consider myself less of a fan of Unlucky Morpheus than someone like yourself, who's like, you're much more in touch with what they do. But obviously, I'm very much a fan of Gatrick Spin. And the funny thing is, I really loved the first version of DOLSBOX. And ironically, DOLSBOX is how I first found Fuki. The original version of DOLSBOX is how I first found Fuki. And then I had to separate Fuki and Unlucky Morpheus from Gatrick Spin via that. But as someone who's more of a Gatrick Spin fanboy, back when they had the original version of DOLSBOX, I felt the original version of DOLSBOX basically took Gatric Spin and elevated it. It's like it was a very different thing, but I felt like it made it more centralized, and the power of Fuki's voice was amazing because she was so much more powerful than what you usually hear on Gatric Spin songs. No offense to the singers there. But the thing is now it's a very different kettle of fish now, because now Gatric Spin have Angie. And for me, taking Angie out of Gatric Spin, that for me is kind of like an Unlucky Morpheus fan taking Fuki out. And obviously, I liked Unlucky Morpheus. I liked Gatric Spin before they had Angie, but now for me, they've elevated so much with Angie's presence, and for me, she's a massive part of why their recent run of albums and songs has been so awesome. And so for me, it's like, if I'm really excited if they do release a new song next year, because, or if they have already recorded one or something, because I'm like, well, I love Fuki, but this is no longer a case of she's elevating. It's a case of swapping one thing out for another. I'm not sure how I feel about Gatric Spin without Angie, but I'm interested. It's like, can Unlucky Morpheus step up, considering like Gatric Spin has gone from being good to being holy shit? It's like, is BOXX still going to be in this place, or is it also going to step up to the same degree? That's what's really fascinating for me.
You know what's really weird as well? Like I said, when they announced that Fuki was going back to BOXX, I was kind of like, oh yes. I was like, I missed BOXX, and I'm so happy to see them back. And we're already a couple of months into it, and I'm already like, I miss Unlucky Morpheus.
You can't have everything.
I'm just greedy at this point. I'm like, oh, I miss Fuki, like Morpheus.
You're a fandom whore.
I know. Which to me just kind of like shows the power of Fuki. I mean, if there was ever a woman that you could like say wasn't a real life anime character, it is her. Jesus Christ.
Why is it every single one of these videos pivots to you getting very obsessed with someone? we ended the last video with you getting obsessed over that guitarist guy whose name I can't remember. Now you're on Fuki. We're gonna talk about something that you hate, just to peel your fingers from your obsessions. We know that you're the ultimate Fuki fanboy.
Ooh, I don't know. I reckon Benedict would give me a run for a runny for the love of Fuki.
Really, he's more of a Moa fanboy. He's got his Moa fan.
No, that's true. Yeah, like he does like Moa, doesn't he? So the third best member of Baby Metal.
You're gonna say the third best member of Ears to the East for a second?
Well, I was going to say, if she was the third member of Ears to the East, we'd have a lot more than 700 subscribers. I can tell you that now.
Oh god!
But Moa, if you ever want to be, if you're watching and you want to be on Ears to the East, let us know and call us.
Do you know what? Yui, if you ever want to be on Ears to the East, just fucking the internet just broke.
The internet would implode.
Yeah, you know, if anyone watched this channel, the internet would have just imploded.
Right now, you don't know it, but right now there's an alternative universe that's just been created in the multiverse where you actually appears on it.
There's also an alternate version where we don't ask her and she just walks through that door. Oh, dude, but yeah, no, I think that ultimately, like I love the fact that we talk about collabs obviously a lot in the part one of this, and in a way, like, let's enjoy the sound of Tokyo.
That's obviously an ambulance rather than a police car, isn't it?
That's a fucking pricey mic stand. It's all of them.
My God, I can hear loads. It sounds like the UK. What's going on?
Crime wave. 300 yen mic stand. So anyway, yeah, I feel like the BOXX Unlucky Morpheus thing, in a way, we don't think of it as a collab, because BOXX we consider to be a legit like supergroup thing, but it is interesting in a way that has certain aspects of the collab thing we talked about last time, as does Koi. A lot of the supergroups kind of cross over with that very concept. I mean, funny thing is, again, Koi has a member of Nemophila, and Nemophila arguably was a supergroup when that came into existence. So there's a lot of these mixing and matching. But for me, I must admit that I just feel like there's been this amazing flurry of new bands, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, like, first of all, we briefly touched on NEK last time, and I feel like NEK has been, I said that it was the debut album of the year, and mini album obviously, but I stand by that. I think that NEK have been amazing. I know they got a little bit of backing, I know they got a little bit of support, but they've been going a great direction. And I should also point out FAULIEU, who obviously they're much more of a legend, but they never got the respect they deserved. They just signed to Amuse. Like FAULIEU out of nowhere have just signed up to Amuse. So, well, this is what's interesting. A lot of people kind of had that similar feeling, but I mean, obviously, when you sign up to an agency, there's different levels. I mean, you could sign up for them to have complete control, or it could be like FAULIEU have been around for a while. Obviously, they were Fleur before, and these French names, and they have this presence. You know, people at least in Tokyo and the music scene know who they are. And so as a result, and obviously, you know, Kaho is in the Gibson Epiphone Replay band, you know, she's the lead guitarist in that. So they're fairly well established. And I think Amuse, I imagine, because let's put it this way, like when Fleur changed their name to FAULIEU, I think there was a part which was them trying to separate themselves from their previous entity, maybe previous contracts. And I feel like their whole new identity, the last like year and a half, 2 years, has been them working out the new way forwards. Yeah. I can't imagine the Amuse contract would have been the only one on the table. I think they probably had a choice. I suspect they've probably been courting a few, and they went for the Amuse one. I'm imagining because Amuse are willing to support them, but allow them to still be them. That would be my guess. That's my women's intuition. And
wait, what?
Oh shit! Where'd it go? But yeah, the thing is that I have this feeling that I don't know, but I just feel that we are going to see FAULIEU with more budget become this bigger thing. I think they're going to be one of the next big pop rock groups to really come out of Japan with some energy, because I feel like they got the songs, they got the experience, they got the talent, and finally maybe the stars were aligning for them. So stuff like that, and then NEK is the newbies that they are, just hitting the ground running.
I don't know. Signing with Amuse is always like 50-50 with me, because I mean, Amuse probably gets a little bit of bad flack for like, they're a little bit behind the curve, I think, in terms of like more tradition, I think, than anything else, than some of the major labels over there. But at the same time, you got to, they
are a talent house, right? Just to be clear, they're like a talent house agency management kind of entity rather
than an outright like the record label for sure. But they had their positives and their negatives, but you can't go into their negatives without going into their positives as well. Like when an Amuse backed artist does get supported, it tends to go really well. I mean, you look at the likes of BAND-MAID. I believe
the bank balance. Do you mean?
Is it?
I mean,
no. I mean just in general.
I'm trying to specify what you mean.
Yeah, I mean,
you seem to be a bit on the.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, sorry. So like the bad things of Amuse is obviously like the lack of contact with the artist, which is kind of traditional, but a little bit more traditional. Could be a lack of support sometimes. Like if you're not making the money, I feel like Amuse are quite quick to drop you, or to put you in this little bit of black hole where you just run down your contract until you kind of like leave them. But on the flip side to that, like if you're a really successful band and you do really well, then Amuse does tend to support you. They are very good at keeping their artists safe, I would say, like, separated from their real lives to their artists. I believe they got a couple of really big acts on Amuse, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I could be 100% wrong, I do apologize. Isn't like One OK Rock that's also attached to Amuse? I know there's. Let
me just have a look at.
There's another really big band. Could be Yorosobi. I don't think it is. It's somebody else's with Amuse, and I know that they're fucking huge alongside BAND-MAID and a few others. But they have got a few good, like really top.
I'm just going through the artist page now. I mean, I will say that, like, so again, I think, I'm just waiting for it to load, actually. I think that it is true that there is this aspect of, you can sign on very different levels. And I think FAULIEU are an interesting one anyway, because I don't consider them to be like a surefire hit-making thing. Just they're sort of band that, people will like, sort of band where they've definitely got a good following. And also they're very communicative with their fans, very hands-on. So it seems like almost like they're the antithesis. Holy shit, I just went onto the Amuse artist list. It's so big that it's categorized alphabetically. And by alphabetically, I mean each page there's a
Fucking
page for
hell.
each part. I think I'm just going to scroll through quickly and see if anything grabs my eye. A lot of like, obviously got a lot of idols and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and people who probably know from that. See, I just got a message that was really loud. Um, but yeah,
Professional
okay.
YouTuber.
I think that you're damn right. I think that when it comes to the Amuse thing, though, it reminds me a little bit what we are saying. It reminds me a little bit of the whole situation with obviously there was a lot of hype around BAND-MAID. Kind of, I'm not going to say they didn't change their management. They just kind of consumed their management as it appeared to be falling apart.
Yeah.
The management company, which I think was only dealing with them anyway, kind of seemed from what we heard had started to fall apart. And then, as we see, the new Made It management company has many key members from their previous management. So just, I know we've been trying to clear this up for a while, but this
Yeah.
is not like suddenly, oh, they've just taken over. It's just a more of a reshuffle
Yeah.
and, getting a little bit more priority. But again, like management doesn't always guarantee anything, but if it
No.
guarantees you access to funding, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah. I mean, the Musa is always 50-50. For me, they're very much one of those labels or companies. I shouldn't call them a label, companies or management or whatever, where it's like you could flip a coin and they're very 50-50. They either do incredibly well with some artists or they can really shun the growth of a couple of artists as well, I feel like. It's just they're so unpredictable. Like they feel like they really make an effort with some and don't make an effort with others. So I'm be really interested to see how that pans out for them. Hopefully they come out on the good side rather than the negative one.
Yeah, we'll see with that one. I mean, I think obviously talking about that connection again, like NEK been coming up through, they've been getting some support from Pony Canyon, and I feel like NEK have been like really. I don't think they support from Pony Canyon. I don't think it's that hands-on. I get the feeling they've just been getting a bit of financing.
Yeah,
But apparently that's been pretty solidly confirmed publicly now. But obviously
yeah.
they've been coming up at an amazing rate. I think there's just a lot of artists coming up at the
Mm.
moment. I feel like Trident, I'm always going to talk about Trident a little bit. Trident have been really nailing it with their although they've always had this very weird commercial aspect. I think they're very good at generating money. I think their whole attitude towards merchandise, the way they do their releases, the way they do their tours, I think Trident are great at doing making money. But I don't think in like a bad way. I think they're just very good at like monetizing what they are as a
Yeah.
band. But I think sometimes that can maybe people can miss the fact that they're actually producing some amazing music right now.
Oh yeah, for
Like
sure.
I think they're just, I mean, like Nocturne came out early this year. That was on the that was on Spice X, and then Ducks. They're not good at naming albums. Nocturne, just absolute. I adore that. Just like the idea to do like the way they mixed classical into rock. Then we had the single Haha, which was much more direct and sort of pop rock, but it was a great single. Then on that album, they snuck in that song You, which was just like, wow, finally tried and have like a beautiful ballad, and it just sounded big and grand and impressive. And again, going back to NEK, I keep on mentioning them, but NEK, they had like the album was amazing anyway. But then to follow that up with Loner, which was a really interesting sort of pop rock song with a deep kind of feeling, and then Dreams, which is just one of the catchiest songs I've heard in years, just a proper full on pop rock fun.
Who's the gusher now, Howard? Come on,
Oh shit,
rips into me
my,
for.
my phone, hold the fort, my phone's ringing quick.
Oh God, oh God! But this is what I work with. This is what I work with. Like, obviously, it must have been an important call. Otherwise, he's taking it, and I get all you guys to myself. Hello there. Ooh, baby. Wow, wow. Shall I start taking my clothes off? Nah, Howard's got to watch this back to edit that. Be nice to me. But yeah, I feel like 2024 has been a really, really good year. It's been a really good year for, like I said, the for small bands really kind of making a difference. And I feel like it's been a really good year as well, just like internationally. That's probably something we haven't touched on yet, which we'll probably talk about. But all these big bands obviously touring, the likes of BAND-MAID touring in America, Bay Metal obviously touring next year. Love Bites will come to Europe as well. Hannah Beer, Ado has been here as well. there's been so many acts now kind of like growing internationally. I feel like 2024, in succession to like 2023, has been one of those years where like the slow international rise has just been getting more and more and more at the minute. When you consider, kind of going back to what we said in part one of this video, when you consider when you get acts like Ado collabing with like Imagine Dragons and stuff like that in the West, BAND-MAID with The Warning, you see Electric Cool Boy with Bay Metal. It just feels like there's a really kind of big push to be more international. I feel like that's really working. I mean, you look at loads of anime shows as well, the rise of creepy nuts as well, with bling blung bling bling blum blum bling blum 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 and dan 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 dan. And the rise of like anime themes and all that being like a highlight again, going back to like One Piece with Ado internationally, that brings in so many people. I feel like the recognition for a lot of these kind of like bands and these artists now, I feel like they're hitting a fever pitch. It's getting to that point now where, like, if you're watching an anime or you're seeing a band or music to all these things, you could be considered a weeb. I mean, personally, I'm still a weeb. I still like anime, always will. But seeing it more now internationally on an international stage, I feel like it's becoming more accepting, like especially with like things like TikTok and YouTube and stuff being more accessible than it ever was over the last 20, 30 years. This music kind of coming in internationally is reaching more ears, even if you're not an anime lover, it's coming across. And again, I think that's personified with so many artists now coming over from Japan, coming over to Europe, touring the USA. Obviously, Pony Canyon making like a massive effort to make sure the BAND-MAID tackle US. That's been their objective, their priority. That's what they've been trying to do, trying to crack America. The old saying, if you can crack America, you can crack anything. You pretty much own the world. It's, what can you say? It is total domination. See what I did there? Hell yeah. Hope that's a slam dunk. Um, I need a swish sound effect in there, Howard.
Oh,
But yeah, 2024 as a whole has been absolutely great. For many artists as well, again, for doing the EPs, the solo artists, the collabs. It's just been a generally good year. Um, maybe touching a little bit more on 2025 here while Howard's not here. Obviously, we're looking at more EPs coming out, more albums coming out. Obviously, looking at things like Love Bites, which are going to have Fami probably featured predominantly more on this album with a bit more of a say than she may have had on the first one. Um, BAND-MAID have just released, their new album, and I'm sure they'll be doing something, a tour in probably, hopefully, Europe. Fucking best be. There's so much going on in the grand scheme of things. I was just really excited. Obviously, I'll be in Japan as well for 2025, so we're going to see a big year of me obviously doing Ears to the East in person with Howard. It's going to be so awesome that we're going to be able to bring you more awesome content. Obviously, Howard's do a little few things, go to a few live houses, go and see some bands and stuff like that. So there's lots more to look forward to in that aspect and that retrospect, which I think is absolutely, amazing. I think the influx of talent as well has been kind of amazing. We're seeing like lots of new bands like Lucid Dream, to an extent NEK, the Mellows and stuff like that. If we're going outside of Japan, you could look at Rum Kicks now and what they're doing. They recently just filled Rebellion Festival in the summer, which was huge for them. They had a massive reception along with 18 Fevers. You could look at bands like Rolling Quartz as well. I just feel like everything at the minute for like these type of bands, it's been in an upwards trajectory, which I think is really cool. You look at like more of like Korean pop at the minute, where it hit its high and it's kind of teetering down a little bit now, but it definitely feels like for in the case of I was going to say Japanese, but I'm going to say Asian music at the minute. I just feel like that's where it's going up. The anticipation is up, and I think that's due to a couple of reasons as well. I feel like you look at Asian music and it's more artistic. Like there's more variety, flavor, songwriting, individuality in the stuff that they're doing. West the West is very commercialized, very by the books. There's a set rules on how they do that, and the Japanese and Asian artists, they break that particular mold. They go out of their way to do something different. They don't play by the rules. They go out there for the love, ambition, the just the thrill of it, and that really shows in the music. And I feel like that's why we're all here, all of us together now watching stuff like this, is because we all love it and we all want to talk about it. We all want to witness it because it's just the thing at the minute. It makes us all happy compared to the some of the bollocks that we get from the West. But I feel like that's other things as well. I feel like that's permeating through to like games, movies. I mean, you look at the West at the minute with like, the message a little bit, a lot of people saying, the woke DEI stuff and stuff like that. And the Japanese, they don't cater to that. And that comes through in their movies, their anime, the content, all that. I feel like that's another kind of big reason, maybe a little bit off topic here, but I feel like that's another big reason why people are kind of, slowly gravitating towards the East for a lot of entertainment now, not only in music but film, and everything else in between. Because I don't know. It feels like the Western market has become sort of oversaturated, kind of like down to the bone a little bit of just doing the same stuff repetitively. And you could argue that the music, the content as well that's being produced at the minute is not as good as it was, like, in the 80s or even the freaking early 90s, which the 90s was a freaking bizarre freaking time, by the way. You know? And I feel like that's one of the reasons as well why Japanese artists are being more successful now than they ever were, because people are looking at that and going, "Hey, yeah, I want to be part of that. Like, that is cool to me because it's outlandish, it's different, it's spontaneous, it's great, and I love it." You know, it's one of those. I'm trying to think of things to say, trying to bouncing off myself. If we don't get a like for just me talking into the camera about random shit, then I don't know what is. If you're still here, by the way, then fucking, I tip my hat to you. I'm trying to run this shit on by myself. But while I'm touching on the subject as well, please, like I said, do our best to share this as well. Share east to the east. Try and talk to us in Discord. Word of mouth is very important to what we do. Obviously, we tackle subjects that we think you guys would be entertaining, would like. But we're always up to ideas as well. If you guys want to suggest things that you want to see us tackle, then let us know in the comments down below. Try and help us, get this podcast to where we want it to be. We hope that this is entertaining and you guys enjoy it enough. We try to not be biased. We tackle different subjects. We have a laugh while we're doing it, just talking and having fun with the things that we enjoy, which just happens to be, like I said, Eastern content at the minute. And I hope you guys can vibe and appreciate off that as well. We want to be successful as well at the same time, even though it is fun. We do want to see the numbers grow. We want to make something of this to the East. We're only a couple of hundred subscribers away from finally getting the channel monetized, which will bring us in a bit of money. Hopefully, share some shirts and give us a little bit more so that we can go and pull in people for interviews and use that money for different aspects of the channel. So there's lots to look forward to, not only from the back end of 2024, but also 2025 leading into that as well. And I hope you guys will be there for the journey that we all do. As well, if you're here as a East subscriber, don't forget to go and check out all our own individual channels. You've got myself, Mr. Howard, who has about 50 million different channels. Come check that out. And Mr. Benedict as well, who's not here at the minute, who also does a reaction channel just like mine, where we can sit back, appreciate, and talk all the great music that we love at the minute. So please go and check out those individual channels as well. I am trying to run the clock down. We've got 5.5 minutes left to go. So let me know. Give me a hell yeah in the comments if you're still here. I need a stone cold hell yeah. if you're appreciating this solo rant right now. I don't know where I'm going with it. Howard's hung me up to dry. I feel like the predator is just coming in. But there's lots of other bands as well that we haven't mentioned that have had like really good years, being like Pradir, BAND-MAID obviously has had a great run. You know, even just some like solo wise, like Mad Jamie's had a good year as well, which has been absolutely fantastic. Kizu, for me personally, I know not many people aren't interested, but they brought out some new stuff. I really enjoyed it. You know, it has been sort of like the year of the collab a little bit. Bloody Word as well. BAND-MAID collabing, The Warning, BAND-MAID. It's been generally a really good year.
Happy
And
New
thank fuck
Year.
he is
Sorry.
here. Thank fuck for that. I don't know how long I've been yapping, but we've got 4 minutes and 20 seconds left, and Jesus fucking
Yeah.
Christ.
Sorry, that was actually quite an important one. So
Oh, Jesus Christ.
hi. So
Hi.
where are we up to? Where are we up to on
I
subject
don't I
matter?
don't know. There was no plan to that. I would just been waffling.
I guess this is what happens when you do these been like, all right, shall I take the last 4 minutes then?
Yeah, go on. You can waffle to your heart's content for the last 4 minutes.
Let's get into some of that masterclass. All right. So earlier this year, Silent Siren proved that you can come back from a hiatus with a wonderful three-piece lineup, but at the same time also showed that it can be somewhat difficult to re-identify yourselves when you're missing the drummer, who was such a big part of the band beginning. But they have come back with the first album, Youthful, which was kind of interesting, but did maybe lack a little bit of the original spark and energy from their bigger, more impressive years. But the new album that they're coming up to at the beginning of next year has had some singles already dropped that have been really impressive and showing some of that spark coming back. At the same time, we've had great music from Daoko, who had Beautiful Days with her band Qubit, but she's also released great songs, including ones like Game Over, showing that Daoko is still keeping the creative energy going. Although she might not have the fame of her original success, she's still on top of her game. Now, Wasps have also been releasing some fantastic music as well. Keep on
Slow down.
And it must be said that Wasta have kept that fun alive, and I think they've also shown how you can develop and age as an idol group, but also still be just as fun as ever. Perfume also being a great example of that, coming back from a lot of their previous successes. Maybe they had a little bit of a stage of going a little bit more calm and not being quite as creative, but I feel like a lot of their creative energy has come back as well. Gastric Spin obviously had Restaurant F, which was a fantastic single, along with the Feast mini album, which, to be honest, was just a sign that they are still keeping that energy going from things like W and from their just their self-entitled album, that whole blast of energy that they have over the last few years. On top of that as well, we've already mentioned about NEK having a fantastic mini album, but what about Utaha? Wednesday Campano have been releasing some music, maybe not their best stuff, but Utaha has been fantastic with her solo album. But it's just shown how much personality, individuality she can put into various things that she does, and really getting a lot of herself out on the record, as well as giving a different tone and different musical style to that self-entitled album, which was fantastic. And talking of fantastic, we need to talk about Bride here, who had their album, which just brilliant album that came out, really long form, songs like Empty Mind on there that just show that they can keep on innovating and doing new song structures that are just exciting. Hagane as well came back with a fantastic mini album that had some really great ideas on it. I still think that Bride won out in the battle of the heavy bands. We had Kanopo with the music video for Tea, which was absolutely brilliant. Kanopo maintaining that sort of craziness as ever. And what about Ray Rier? That's a hard one to say quickly. Who had Ruler, which really showed that they are on top of their pop game as well, releasing singles that just demonstrate that they are never ever going to let up on having that fun and slightly irreverent energy, not irrelevant. And I think that it's also a good sign to see them maybe not slipping into the back as you've had like Brats and various things sort of go down the tubes of recent. It's nice to see that they still got the energy to create something that feels fresh and new and like they're excited to do music. And on top of all of that, Hanabiya, like I say, they had that Butchigiri Tokyo mini album come out. It was so good, but they also had songs like Girls Talk, which somewhat slipped under the radar because it didn't appear on the mini album. But Girls Talk was an absolutely fantastic song that I think demonstrated again that they can bring in the popular elements. They don't just have to do metal, but they did do metal fantastically with Butchigiri Tokyo. So again, showing all those various signs of what they do. And on top of all of that, we have to just finally say that this has been one of those years where I think that creativity has been great, but also from the many unsigned bands that we don't get to talk about so much. Big shout out to my band of the year, band of a century, band of the lifetime, Caramel Candid. Yes,
I was wondering when that was going to pop up. I was waiting. I was like, he's got a minute to mention Caramel Candid.
Caramel Candid. I've talked about Caramel Candid so much, but what a brilliant way to finish this off by talking about Caramel Candid, truly the band of the millennium, truly the band of all time, the band of humanity, the band who will redefine your very definition of what an unsigned band can be. Caramel Candid taking over the universe or a universe near you in the next few years. And until we do talk about Caramel Candid and various other things from 2025, remember to keep your ears to the east. Give me some of this coffee.
Well, there you go. There you go. He could do it much better. Right. He could do it much better than I can. Yeah, Jesus Christ, mate. Take a breath. Fuck me.
Again, next year.
Although I am pretty happy that some of the things you talked about, I did actually cover. So you covered